Sherlock Holmes is the most prolific screen character in all of cinema. He's a master of disguise. He's apt at boxing, guns, and all forms of combat. Because at the end of the day, a good detective is a detective that will take on any case. And Sherlock would solve an animal mystery, but he'd also solve the murder of your wife.
In Mask of the Phantasm, we see him collect glass that is broken through and collect the evidence, go and analyze it in his Bat computer. In the 1989 movie, we see Batman. He has cameras set up all around his house so that he can collect information from the people who are attending the party. Also, in the Nolan movies, Batman Begins. It's where Batman starts. You can't be the world's greatest detective unless you've had years of experience under your belt, which he does not at that point.
Oh no, guys, it's the semifinals. What are we gonna do?
Boom, 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 boom.
Let's have an argument.
Let's fight.
Awesome. Hey everybody, welcome back to Detective Wars. It is the semifinals. This debate, we've got right over here Michael Cruz defending Sherlock Holmes. And right over here, we've got Anna defending Batman again. All right, well, let's get to it. As always, 2 minutes for opening arguments, 1 minute for rebuttals, and then some free-form kind of debate going on at the end.
Sexy time.
Where things will get hot. No, they don't need to be sexy. It's hot.
Hot means sexy.
Not to me, and not all the time. Anyway, Coin's on vacation, but he was nice enough to call in. Anna, you're going first.
Okay.
You ready?
Sort of.
2
I'm
minutes,
ready.
starting right now, go.
Okay, so I did a terrible job of explaining why Batman is a good detective last time, but I'm gonna do a way better job this time. So Batman is actually an amazing detective. Part of the reason that we know this is the fact that he is always actually catching the criminals. He doesn't have them by, knowing exactly who they are to start with or being given a dossier with all the information about them. He has to find out all of the information. In all the movies, he has to figure it all out. He has to collect clues and he has to analyze them to do that. So that's how he catches them. We have seen him even in the Christopher Nolan movies where he does less detective work because he hasn't really been trained in that. We see him do ballistics testing in order to figure out the fragmentation of a bullet so that he can figure out how things went. We have seen him, like I said last time, collecting glass in Mask of the Phantasm and then analyzing the substances that are on it. In the original movies from the 80s, we've seen him collecting evidence from the makeup and figuring out exactly who the Joker is and where to find him and where to find the tainted products, thereby being able to solve the crime and help Gotham. Because the fact is that when Gotham needs help, when Commissioner Gordon needs help, the person that he calls is Batman because Batman is the top-notch investigator of the area. And Gordon can't always do it, especially when he's surrounded by a whole bunch of corrupt cops. So when you need help, when you need a great detective by your side, the one that you're going to call in is Batman because not only is he going to help you with the detective work, he's going to actually help you catch the criminals, he's going to take them out for you, and he's going to help you lock them up. And that is why Batman is the best detective, and he's a better detective than Sherlock because he is not addicted to all sorts of stuff that I will go into after.
Cruz, what do you say to start with? 2 minutes, ready to go.
Sherlock Holmes has been in over 200 films, and he has solved the case every time. Holmes has been on film as long as we have had film. Sherlock Holmes Baffled was not only one of the first films ever made, but the first detective movie in history. Al Norwood played him 47 times, Jeremy Brent 41, Basil Rathbone 14 times. In Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Weapon, he fights the Nazis. Christopher Plummer took down Jack the Ripper. He is elegant, sophisticated, lively, and smart. And even though in more modern adaptations, he's closer to Batman, a recluse who's on the border of being a villain himself and really kind of insane, in the majority of adaptations, he's neither addicted to anything, nor does he need trauma to fuel his work. He is just the best detective. He loves being a detective. Sometimes he has a short temper and he's vain, but it's never at expense of the case. No matter how many character changes have happened with Sherlock Holmes, there is one immutable truth about 200 movies. He always solves the case. Batman has been corny, cute, but never really a good detective on screen. He has been a crime fighter, not a crime solver. In the films, the villains make themselves known. They make grand gestures. Everyone knows who the villain is and that they need to be stopped. And he takes them down. In 3 of the movies, with Selina Kyle, with Talia al Ghul, and even in Mask of the Phantasm, he can't even figure out that the woman he's sleeping with has been the bad guy all along.
Time. All right, crime fighter, not a crime solver. You got 1 minute to answer for that. You ready? Set, go.
Not only is he a crime fighter, but he is also a crime solver. But let's get to the point that you are completely wrong about. He does not solve the crime in every single time he's on screen. Let's talk about the 7% solution, where he is so drug-addled that he just goes on harassing somebody until Watson has to go off and send him into rehab, has to trick him into going into rehab. Let's talk about Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother, where he's so stupid that he can't even solve the crimes himself, and his brother has to do all the solving of them. Let's talk about Without a Clue, where Watson does all the solving because Sherlock is just a figment of people's imagination. He is just a made-up character and doesn't even really exist. He doesn't solve the case in everything, and he always needs the help of Watson there with him because he is not good enough to do it himself.
Cruz, listen, I had a quip and it was good and I forgot it.
There you go,
Ready?
it's gone.
You got 1 minute.
Okay.
Go.
In most of the movies that you've talked about, there are variations on the character that are not loyal to the character in most of the movies. And so if you were going to make a movie where Sherlock doesn't even exist and he's a figment of Watson's imagination, sure, why not? But the reality is that in the majority of the 200 films, you're talking about like pebbles in the sand, right? On the other hand, in the Batman 1996 movie, the only reason they solve the crime is because Batman and Robin are captured in the first place, and then they fight their way out. In the Michael Keaton Batmans, he doesn't identify the Joker, he finds him after he begins destroying everything. Sure, he figures out who he is, but for the most part, the Joker is making himself a public spectacle. The Penguin has the Red Triangle Gang causing riots. Selina succeeds until she reveals herself to him. In Batman Forever, Edward Nygma is basically a running joke that's blowing up the entire town. There's literally not a single film version of Batman where the villain doesn't clearly make themselves known to him. He doesn't need to solve anything. Also, shark repellent.
Hey, always prepared. Always prepared as a good detective should be.
Shark repellent.
Yeah, shark repellent.
I think you guys started without me. Go right ahead.
I'm sorry, but if Sherlock is too dumb to carry shark repellent when he's in the ocean, that's his problem. But you know what? Batman is always prepared. He is always there with everything that you might need in order to help solve the crime. And
look, I'm sorry that Sherlock isn't a multi-bajillionaire that can have a bunch of gadgets invented for him by other people who solve the crimes for him. Sherlock uses his intellect and his deduction, because none of the examples that you gave of Batman in the movie figuring out the clues is Batman figuring out the clues.
Yes, it is.
He puts them in a machine,
that
and the
he
machine
created.
regurgitates the information.
A machine
half
that
the
he
time,
made and programmed.
Half the time, he doesn't even make and program.
Oh, really?
Machine.
Where does it say
half
that?
Half the time,
tell me when
you
it said that.
You have what's his name, God's voice, Morgan Freeman creating stuff for him, or you have someone
only
else.
in the Nolan movies where it's Batman Begins, not Batman's been doing detective work for years.
That's half of the films that exist about Batman.
It's less than half the films.
And so,
it's actually far less than half. You know what Sherlock Holmes does? He is so caught up in his bromance with Watson, especially in the most recent ones, that he can't even really figure things out right. He allows his bromance to totally mess with his own mind so that he can't even analyze properly about Mary, about Watson's girlfriend. He totally gets things wrong because he can't even perceive that Watson already knows this information. Irene Adler is always messing with Sherlock's head. You want to know why? Because Sherlock isn't as objective as we'd like to think.
Oh, you want to talk about women messing with people's brains? Again, all of the women in Batman Batman encounters in movies dupe him for the entirety of the movie. Talia al Ghul gets so far as to mostly destroying the city and stabbing him after he has sex with her because he can't figure it out.
Like I said, in the newest movies, it's Batman Begins. Batman is just starting. He's learning to be a detective, but he's not a detective yet. In the older movies, that's when he's actually got years of detective work under his belt.
He never even becomes a real detective in the trilogy. And at at the end of which he gives it all up to be with one of the women who mostly betrayed him for the most part. On the
Hey,
other
we don't
hand,
know what he's doing in Europe. He could definitely be doing detective work here. Maybe they have.
He is having breakfast. He's having brunch on a sunny day.
Yes.
Sherlock, on the other hand, is dedicated to his work, and he does it because he absolutely loves it, not because he needs to, because he can't stop grieving over his parents.
No, it's because he's obsessive, and he can't stop himself from doing it.
He can't stop himself from solving your
He can't stop himself from doing drugs.
You can't even talk about bromance. You want to talk about bromance? Let's talk about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, the movie where, if according to you, Batman builds all his own which clearly isn't true, he put nipples on Robin's suit so he could stare at them all the time.
You want to know what a great technique for a detective is? Being able to throw people off. What's better than throwing people off? Bat nipples. Okay?
That is the best place that we're going to find to end this debate. Bat nipples. Guys, get down to the comments below. You're going to find a comment down there that says, like this if Batman wins. You're going to find another comment that says, like this if Sherlock Holmes wins. Get down there, let us know who won this thing. Also, make sure to check out our other semifinal debate. It's John McClane versus Rorschach. It's very spirited. Get over there, vote for that one as well, and come back next week to find out who made the finals. We're getting close to dropping phones.
How is the coin going to tell you things with the phone dropped?